Welcome you in today's webinar. I am Jaya Mukherjee from the Faculty of Chaibasa Engineering College and the co-host of today's webinar. I welcome you all in today's webinar on market state of affairs during COVID and cyber security and defense by Chaibasa Engineering College under Take It 3. It's a moment of great privilege and honor for me and for our institute to have Dr. Bimal Kumar Mishra sir with us. He is a principal of Markham College of Commerce, Hazaribagh, Jharkhand, and he is having a teaching and administrative experience of more than 19 years. He is awarded with Fellow Lawyer Astronomical Society, FRAC, UK in the year 2020, and next Fellow Institute of Mathematics and Application, FIMA, UK in the year again 2020, and in the year 2018 he was awarded with AIAP Early Career Research Award. He is also founder, editor-in-chief in International Journal of Mathematical Modeling, Stimulation and Application, IJMMSA. He is also member of many professional bodies, member American Mathematical Society USA, member Society of Industrial and Applied Mathematics, SIAM USA, life member of Indian Science Congress Association, life member of Operational Research Society of India, life member of Indian Society of Technical Education, life member of Mathematical Society BHU, life member of Association of Microbiology of India. So sir, let's start our session, and I hope that it's a great session for us and we will gain knowledge to us also, sir. So let's start your today's webinar session, sir. I request sir to please start today's webinar.
Yeah, very good evening to all of you.
Good evening,
and
sir.
I am very much thankful to the principal of Chaibasa Engineering College for giving me this opportunity to pre, during and post COVID-19. So in fact, before I started, really this pandemic COVID-19 having around 52,67,419 cases across the globe, and around we had 3,41,155 cases of this particular. We have confirmed deaths of 3,41,000. So you can just imagine that how severe this particular pandemic is across the globe, and almost 216 countries across the globe is suffering from this pandemic. And in fact, whenever technology or the physical sciences fail, we look towards biology to find out a solution. Maybe whether it is hardcore computer engineering or maybe any application of science, we have to only, whenever we come across certain disastrous type of or any type of unsolved solution of any specific problem, then biology only helps us. And this pandemic, though it is so severe in nature and we don't know where the line will cross, but I do observe, I do find out that it will be very severe in the coming 15 days. Recently, we have published a 59 pages article on COVID-19, which created chaos across the globe, in chaos and in chaos solitons and fractals of elsewhere. And in this journal, we predicted a lot of things which we are just now observing, which is going on. So India, in fact, is now listed among the top 10 countries across the world where this pandemic has entered. and the rate of infection has suddenly increased like anything. So where cyber crime, cyber attack lies in this pandemic is very crucial to all of us. And also we will try to understand that what we'll be able to do for this type of crimes, what defense mechanism we can try to find out. So I just, in fact, the major issues that what I will be addressing today, in fact, is that why cyber attackers are able to leap this frog technical defenses. Where are we heading? Are we heading towards the social media vulnerabilities or digital extortion or impersonation or targeted attack to international cyber warfare? So the clever tricks, what the clever tricks the malware authors use to avoid this detection, why ransomware attacks in fact increased exponentially like 136% in 2019. In 2019, the ransomware attacks was 136% across the globe. And how social networks and applications enable the cyber criminals. What are the basic attacks on the Internet of Things, and many more serious than ever, because Internet of Things are a major issue during the cyber criminals, what we're looking for. And basically in the last, I will be discussing about the mathematics of all the cyber crime. So cyber crime, in fact, what I feel is that you will be very surprised to know that according to the FBI study of the United States company, the companies in fact suffered a security incident. 75% of the US companies suffered a security threat in 2019. And this is the study which is being given by FBI. You can see the severity of the cyber attack by the criminals, that 75% of the US company suffered the security incident. And FBI also estimated that when this type of attack is so enormous in nature, then in 2019 alone, $1,400 billion was in fact the total cost of the cyber crime which happened in 2019 in the US alone. So you can see the major threat to the cyber attack or crime, not only in the country of US. The US is supposed to be one of the very secure country as far as the defense mechanism in cyber world is concerned. But in fact, this is all only in US you can find $1,400 billion of the attack. And this is the report of FBI. And basically, in fact, the tradition, but the criminals act using computers and network as tools or targets. So you have to understand this in a different scenario. So basically, the modern computer crimes are based on malicious codes, such as viruses, the worms, the Trojan horses. And they are actively perpetrated by knowledgeable individuals who try to attempt to exploit the network, computer, and software flaws. So when we speak about the penetration of these criminals by the knowledgeable individuals who are trying to exploit the network, who are trying to exploit the computers and software flaws, they are said to be the active attacks. But when we say that the criminals are doing the crime through the malicious codes, like viruses, worms, trojans, they in fact are passive crimes. So what when we speak about, I'm not so much concerned about the traditional crime. First of all, I will be concentrating on the crime part of the forensic, how the forensic science helps us, what is cyber forensic, how the criminals will be able to be detected, and then what type of preventive or precaution we can take to find out all this. So phishing, in fact, is a very typical type of word. Is in fact, this is what when we are, whenever some banking transaction is there, whenever some online businesses are there and the amount which is supposed to reach a specific destination does not reach. And they, in fact, they are being taken out, they are being cracked, they are being hacked by the criminals, adoptable there. So what we that this www said to be the World Wide Web, I define it as wild, wild west. And why I am saying this? Because the criminals are facing same, committing crimes from the privacy of their own homes, because they are so much they are so much secure that they don't even think, because they try to make certain it's very difficult to find it out. And the brand new challenges which we are facing to the law enforcement are there, because we are in fact, the new technologies are not so much trained. The internet crimes span multiple jurisdictions, because maybe that people who you are at Chaibasa, and when you are having a transaction of money from one particular account to the other account, it may be hacked. Some remote place, for an example, in a country X, which is far away from our country. So we have different jurisdictions. So internet crimes span multiple jurisdictions, and we have to redefine or retrofit new crimes to existing laws. So therefore, it is very, till date, in fact, the cyber crime laws are not well defined, and we have to put a lot of stress in finding out all these. So you will be, what happens that when we speak about, in fact, by threatening email, by assuming somebody's email or identity, in fact, defamation, by sending spams, phishing, and when we speak about computer as a crime of target, then in fact viruses are there, worms are there, industrial spare. All these, in fact, when we club together, coordinate together, they in fact are in computer. When we speak about the crimes which are happening during COVID-19, is that you can just observe. Recently, a lot of articles have come, newspaper clippings are there, that these cyber criminals are not making target to the financial organization of those countries which are most affected by COVID-19, and also to the medical research laboratories where research is going on for developing a new vaccine of this COVID-19. The two important sectors during this COVID-19, one is the financial sector of that particular country, which is most affected. So what they are doing, they in fact, what we are, suppose that we are going to transfer certain amount of money to a specific domain. For example, primeministercare.com. For example, if it is that particular website where we have to donate money to the COVID-19 sufferers. Now the hackers are tracking it. So what they do, they try to send emails and links that this is the specific web domain where you can transfer the money to that specific thing. So what happens, we have only read the news that we are supposed to transfer the money to that specific Prime Minister account. But we have never, what is the trapping procedure, what the criminals are doing? They in fact are putting a link, suppose that it is primeminister.com. They're putting it primeminister.org. So as soon as you click the link, only the .org and .com difference is there. So people in fact are not so much, they are acquainted, or we can say they are not aware, or they in fact, they don't try to read it also. So they in fact try to understand, they try to, the money which is supposed to put the Prime Minister Care Fund is being now transferred to another domain. So this type of regular emails are coming to different. Am I not audible? Am I not audible? Hello?
Yes, sir, you are audible, but I think some minor network issue is there. So your voice is sometimes it is breaking. Otherwise, it is okay, sir.
Okay, so should I have this headphone with me?
Yeah, if it's your wish. If you are comfortable with, then okay, sir.
Oh, I don't have any issue.
Yeah, that's fine, sir.
Hello?
Yeah.
Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Yes. So when I start these clients, but they are about the medical organization. One thing is that the transfer of the amount and ransomware, in fact, the ransoms are being taken. I will be coming out in this particular scenario after some few minutes. But we have to be very careful while transferring in the particular amount from one account to the another account. Secondly is that different servers which are doing research for developing vaccine. So recently, large number of news were there that specifically the US lab, some labs in the US were being, the server was hacked, and also in European countries it was hacked. So I'm not going to name a specific country that from where the hacking is going on, but this is already in the news. So COVID-19, during this also period, we can see that people are very much concerned. The hackers are very much concerned to earn a lot amount of money, which people used to transfer for donation, and also the new type of research which is going on. The criminals are in fact looking for the defense organization. They are looking for the financial sector. They are looking towards the banking organization, to the information technology sector, where they're able to hack and try to find out, try to get some ransom. Suppose that some vaccine is developed in a lab, then what happened? They try to hack the entire thing, and all the information is now being hacked by us. Are going to give this amount of to the specific criminal within this stipulated period of time. Then they only will be will give you the password for the vaccine or the research what you have developed. So the entire information is being hacked. Recently in US, this type of incident had happened. So we have to be very much aware that this type of business is going on as far as the cyber criminals are concerned. Now, when I speak about all these, then I come to the terminology of computer forensics. Computer forensics is an area which is wide open to all the students of computer engineering or information technology. This is taking a boom this time, because or in the coming years, it will play a very critical role, because forensic science, cyber forensics is now today in the era of everything is now. We are giving you webinar, e-lectures are going on, e-seminars are all the information what we are transmitting is only to the electronic media. So we have to understand about computer forensics. What it is. The computer forensic is nothing, but it is an uncovered digital evidence of a crime. We have to, that is what it is defined. It is, again, I tell you, that it is an autopsy of a computer network or to uncover the digital evidence of a crime. For example, if a certain crime is being done in a traditional way, then the person or the group which has performed this crime try to uncover all those type of evidence which they have committed it. So the same same manner, the network or the computer, all the digital evidence are being covered in this computer forensic. And the evidence must be preserved and hold up in a court of law. Because if we are going to uncover all these type of the particular crime which is being created, then this has to be preserved, and they in fact has to be put in the court of law. We have many computer forensic savvy. It is a growing field. The FBI, the state and the local police, the Homeland Security, defense attorneys, judges and prosecutors, independent security agencies, white hat or the ethical hackers. In fact, the people say that I'm an ethical hacker. Yeah, ethical hackers in fact try to crack the many type of the passwords or many other things. In fact, they try to, and this white hats or the ethical hacker, they are hacking it for a positive thing. They are trying to give a proper information. So ethical hackers are there, and many of the what in fact when we speak about forensic, then what are the digital evidence which are being uncovered? What in fact we try to uncover those digital evidence. So smart criminals, they never use their own computers, never at all. And they floppy disk, the zip or the jazz disk, the tapes, the digital cameras, the memory sticks, the printers, the CDs, the game boxes, the networks, hardware drives. So these are some of the uncovering digital evidences. And do remember, the criminals never use their own system. They never use their own laptop or computers whenever they are performing certain cyber crimes. So the digital evidence, it is most likely hidden or purpose or needs to be unearthed by these forensic experts. So what the criminal and the cyber crimes when it is being performed, so they try to hide those evidence. What evidence the criminals are trying to hide? They delete their files and emails. So when they are deleting their files and emails, so when you simply, what happens? If the criminals are not so clever, they will not be permanent. They only just put a delete mark and they will go to the trash or they will go to the recycle bin. But if they are clever criminals, they will permanently delete it. So when the criminals, they are hiding the evidence by deleting their files and emails, they are hiding their files by encrypting it, by providing certain passwords which are very strong. They are embedding them in unrelated files. They try to embed those type of things which people do not think that the files can be embedded in these type of file, having extension like .os, .dll, etc. So they try to hide this evidence in this type of form. And they use Wi-Fi networks and cyber cafe to cover their evidence. They don't try to use their own Wi-Fi network. They don't try to use, they don't also perform their work through their own local destination, but they go to cyber cafe to perform these type of crimes. So these uncover these type of evidence. But what the forensic team do? The forensic uncover these evidence. So what they're uncovering, they will try to restore the deleted files. They will try to restore the emails which are already there. If it is not permanently, even if it is, they try to uncover these all things. They find the hidden files because they are trying to save those files. They are trying to make those files invisible or make a file like that, what I told you, having an extension like .dll, having an extension like .os. So people will never think that this type of files, in fact, some information will be there. But the forensic team, they will always try to find the hidden file through these type of searching techniques. They will try to also find the hidden file through complex password, encrypting programs, and many such algorithms. They try to do it. Thirdly is they track them down through the digital trial IP address And yeah, they in fact try to have all these through the digital trap IP address to ISP to the offenders and many such things. So the cyber crimes, in fact, the spams, you have to remember one thing, spam is also playing a very critical role. If what you do, you pay for the spam and never pay for the spammers. Email costs are paid by the email recipients. So spam can be very dangerous. You have to be very much careful. The spam is always hostile. So spam can be dangerous. Never click on the opt-out link. May take you to these opt-out links. What they're doing, they're trying to take you to the hostile website where mouse over download, because whenever you try to click this opt-out link, they will make a .exe file and they will try to put it in some other trap, some other network, and you will be in trouble there. So what you should do, you should try to filter it whenever it is possible. You don't try, because the spams, the mails already try to filter it, but even filtering, many of the mails which are spam come to your primary inbox. So you have to filter those. Whenever you don't know the source, don't try to enter at all. Keep filters up to date, because what we do, we never, once in a month, maybe in 6 in a month, we try to update it. So never we try to update our antivirus software which is installed, or the Microsoft messages which are coming, that you should try to update it, but we don't even try to take time to update all these things. Thirdly, if you get it, suppose some spam has entered, then never try to open it, simply delete it. Because sometimes it is very curious. Sometimes it is that photographs are sent for your family. You will just see that some other account is being hacked, and people, the criminals are using those emails and sending it to your personal email account, and then they are trying to make it, try to delete those emails. So you have to try to delete those emails. So what you have to do, the viruses and worms, you have to try to understand the difference between viruses and worms. So do remember, gone are those days when people used to send, they used to send you some emails asking you some money, or by telephone they are asking you that this type of crimes, this is a traditional crime which is now happening, that people will make you a call that I'm calling from this bank particular, and this bank in fact needs your personal information. Recently in Delhi, there was a pizza boy, the one student in fact was being, she was being trapped by the criminals. So what happened in fact there, when we speak about the criminals, so that pizza which was being purchased by that specific lady in Delhi 2-3 months back, she was being trapped by the criminals. So the criminals are using different techniques. So never believe on them. Whenever you're using a credit card or a debit card, and when you are a regular user of this e-commerce, then always try to change your password. What happens once we have stored the password, we never try to change the password of the debit or the credit card. It remains as it is. And when you are opting for several type of e-business on a regular feature, and if you are a very known person, then you are the target of those criminals. So you can be hacked. So try always to change your password. Never try to, you just only put one-time password and then it will be forever. Then you are at risk. You have to change your password at a regular interval of a time, because these days you have to live in the digital world. There is no way. You have to perform e-business, but that does not mean that you should not have preventive measure. You have to take preventive measure. You should be cautious about all those guidelines which are being given to you, provided to you. So regular updation of your laptops to the antivirus software messages which are coming. The Microsoft is sending messages to you. The control panel software is sending you the messages. Always try to update it, and never try to disclose the evidence. Never try to disclose the internal security to any third person, even if you know him well. So when we are speaking about worms and viruses, so you have to remember that these are the soft people, they are using, the worms uses the computer network to find security holes into your computer. And usually in Microsoft, usually when we speak that this is a second, please, 1 second, please, 1 second.
Sir, you are not audible, sir. No, sir, you are not audible. Sir, you are not audible, sir. Please unmute yourself.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's fine.
Yeah, in fact, the host, in fact, it was saying that the host has not permitted you to.
Yeah, I have permitted. Yes, sir.
Right, right.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. So no issue. I was speaking about the computer viruses and worms. So the computer worms, in fact, they are software that uses computer network to find security holes, and they try to get into our computers, usually in Microsoft operating system. So when we speak about the Microsoft operating system, there are other operating systems which are, in fact, sometimes they are more secure than these operating system. But worms for Mac was recently written. So we cannot say that 100% all operating system, in fact, are what to secure. Worm is one thing which is most disastrous in the nature. They do not need any media to try to get themselves transferred from one source to the another destination. So just unlike viruses, in fact, they are the software that piggybacks on other software, and they runs when something else is running. They may be in your micro in Excel, or maybe they may be transmitted through the sharing programs, bulletin boards. They may be passing around the floppy disk, etc. Maybe that, so virus needs certain media, but worms, in fact, they do not need any media to get themselves transmitted. And in wireless sensor network, which is playing a critical role these days, there are two type of very disastrous worms, which in fact are disturbing like anything. One is said to be a Mabir worm, another is said to be Cabir worm, MABIR and CABIR. So this Mabir and Cabir worms are the most, I can say that they in fact are destroying the wireless network like anything. So they do not need any media to travel. Air is the only media. So when the signals are being transferred from one communication to the other, when signals transmit from one tower to the other tower, or from one source to the other destination, these two worms, and one more similar worm, they get themselves transmitted. They try to distort that type of signal, put their own messages or information, hack those messages or information, and try to send it. If it is trying to reach destination Y, it will reach destination Z. So defense, as security, financial organization, these worms where there are the messages are being transmitted, information are being transmitted through the wireless network, these worms are very helpful for the cyber criminals. So as they do not need media, only the thing is that the criminals they are tracking that where the information is passing through. So worms, in fact, are quite disastrous, and we have to be very careful when worm attack is there. So hackers you can find out everywhere. So what in fact, because what in fact we have to be, what are we up against? So we are faced with weak underlying technology and inherently vulnerable software. So in developing countries or underdeveloped countries, what is happening? Maybe that a great boon to the engineering sector or maybe boon to the engineering education sector is that TechCube is funding like anything. So when TechCube is there, what happens? How it is helpful for us? One area is that purchase of the software. When we are having a licensed software and when we are updating it day by day, putting a lot of antivirus softwares, the latest the latest patches which are being developed in the antivirus software, they are being installed in the system with the licensed software, then the possibility of the attack is very low. But everywhere TechCube is not there. We can go to, you can find out that there are certain colleges and universities, traditional universities, and in the more remote areas, in many of the organization or the sectors which are not up to the mark, where they are working on pirated software, and these pirated software are easy target for those cyber criminals. So softwares which are in fact we are. Secondly, the issues such as users anonymity coupled with uninformed, misguided, and malicious users contribute to the problem. Finally, what we are doing, we are, what in fact is the main problem is that we are weak or non-existent legal regulatory to tackle cyber criminals. Like in US, Europe, they are having very strong law for cybercrime. But still in India, lot of research, lot of other legal activities had to take place to make our law very stringent as far as cyber attack is concerned. So as I was speaking about wireless network, the wireless network will be very happy, you know. The students, in fact, they're very happy when they find that the wireless network are open. They will always try to sit near the towers and they will try to scroll it. They will try to, in fact, surf the network. And 60 to 70% of the wireless network are open in nature. So these Wi-Fi networks are unprotected when they are widely open, because the criminals look for these wireless networks to commit their crimes. And the authorities will come knocking on your door because you are using your own net, you are using your own handset, you are using your own laptop through these wireless networks, which are free in the domain, which are free in the environment. And when these open networks, the criminals are transforming, they will be hacking those signals and will be, your IP address will be located, but the information which is being transmitted is from another source. So the criminals are looking for these wireless networks. They commit crimes through those networks. And finally, you are trapped because your IP address is being used. So we have to be very careful when we're using these open Wi-Fi networks. 60 to 70% of the Wi-Fi networks are open in nature. And do remember, these days, specifically from 2018 onwards, the Androids and many of the mobiles what we are using are very soft target for the cyber criminals, because we are not using up to the mark of the antivirus software of these particular mobile devices. And the organization or the companies which are selling these mobile devices are also not using the antivirus software up to a certain mark. They and the users, in fact, they are also not so much cautious. A country like India, where 130 crore population is there, and almost 60% population is using this mobile network. So they don't know even that what is antivirus software, how it can be installed in our Androids, and the information, what they are sending it, they in fact, they are the easy target of the software, because we are moving from one tower to the another tower, where there's a transformation, where there's a signal break. And the signal break, in fact, is an easy particular location, is an easy particular domain where the criminals are acting. They will, in fact, wherever the signal is weak, wherever there is a change in the frequency of the signals, wherever there's a change in the tower signals, these criminals use this specific location for the distortion of the data, or for the hacking of the data, or for transmitting the information from one source to the another. So we are using, because now what happened when we are speaking about the, I'm not will be discussing more on the wired network, because today, in fact, we are very much cautious about the wireless network. So wireless network basically these days are the nanotechnology domain. So when we speak about the sensors, the nanosensor, what in fact, it is an integrated device which is able to do very simple tasks besides sensing, such as simple computation or even local actuation. Despite being very similar to micro and macro scale sensor, it should be taken into account that the solutions in the nanoscales are limited not just in terms of existing manufacturing technologies, but also by the physics law. That is, we cannot think of a nanosensor as a small and simplified sensor. The more tiny the nanosensor, the more complex the activity it performs. And there will be a strong compromise between the size of the nanosensor, its capability, and the type of application in which it is being considered. Because the nanosensors are, if we see in any of the IoT, even if you don't wear a seat belt, the signals are being, always there's a beep sound. They indicate you that wear your seat belt while driving a car, while doing any type of work. So there are different type of nanosensors, maybe biological nanosensor. We can have this type of, there can be the nanosensors which may have wide biomedical applications. And you can see that, for example, the nanosensors are being widely used in the biomedical field. For example, the nanoscale is the natural domain of the molecules, the proteins, the DNA, the organelles, and many other components of the cells. So even their nanosensor networks are playing a role. So I will just ask Professor Jaya Mukherjee to just go on to one slide only. And this slide, I hope that it is slide number 34. Is it possible for you to go to slide number 34, Professor Jaya? If it is not possible, then I can explain it on my own. Okay, so Professor, I hope that who is the moderator here? He is.
Sir, should I on?
Yeah.
Change the slide.
Yeah, if you go to please slide number 34.
Just a minute, sir.
Is it possible?
Yeah, slide number 34.
34. You can have all this. Going one by one will be difficult. It is.
I think I should stop the slide. 34. Sir, is it?
You can minimize it and go directly to 34 number and then share it. Yeah, 34. Yes, please. Thank you. So see the biomedical application of this slide. Thanks, Professor Sonak. Slide number 34, if you see it, this is the application, biomedical application. You just make it in the full screen. Yeah. So this is the human body, where you can see that in the brain, in the chest, and near the abdomen portion. We have a person is widely suffering from severe disease, and maybe that he may be residing in a remote place in Chaibasa, and he might be going under treatment like center in India or For example, like in AIMS, somewhere in US, somewhere in Europe, he needs some medical treatment by some very specialized type of medical practitioner. So a person from Chaibasa, how this sensor network works, that is a great boon to medical industry by these nanosensors. You see that these are the tiny sensor networks in the brain. You see that they are the very small circles are there, and all these small circles, in fact, they are being all of them are attached to each other by the router said to be the nano router in all three places near the brain, near the heart, or near the abdomen. You can see tiny particles, all of them attached to the nanorotors. And these nanorotors, all of these nanorotors are in fact, they are being connected, they are being, these nano micro, they, all these nano routers are being connected to this micro interface, nano micro interface. And this nano micro interface of the human body, they are being transforming, they are being transmitting all the information of the brain, heart, and abdomen. This interface goes to the this particular here. 1 minute. They are having this gateway is there. If you see that outside the human body, and this through the internet, it goes to the healthcare provider. So what happens, a human who is at this particular place at Chaibasa, and he is in fact, he is able to get a treatment, the biomedical treatment from an expert who may be lying, who may be residing at US or maybe at Europe. All this information through this all through the human body, the information is being transmitted through the gateway and via internet to the healthcare provider. So this is a great application of the nano sensors. And in fact, when I come to the monitoring system, see, you have Androids with you, and see the application of those Android. How many steps you have moved? They say that how many steps you have moved, it will say just give you the distance that you have traveled today. One able also to measure your heartbeat, that how much heartbeat is there. So these nano sensors in your Android, they are in fact very helpful. But what happens if this is being hacked by the criminals? That is the big issue. The Androids, what you're keeping, the messages what are being transmitted from your human body to your Android. So what happens? It has been hacked. People do not care in country like India. But if it is country like US or if it is country like Europe, then it's a severe crime. We are so much lenient in this matter that we try to omit, or we are so unaware of this fact that our information will be so much helpful for the insurance company people. The criminals, what they do, all the information which are being saved by them through the Androids by the human population, they in fact, they are being hacked by the criminals, and this where the ransomware takes up place. They are selling this information to the insurance company, and because the whole information of your physical status, of your medical status, in fact, is being transmitted to those insurance companies. Now people have become aware as soon as being put up that whether your information will be lost, whether there will be some issue in the security of our data, but this all government denied. They say that it is a secure system and nothing to worry about. So information plays an important role. And where ransom is there, I told you an example, these information are being transmitted. They are being sent to those insurance company or many other sector who need this information, and for this they pay heavily. So when I am speaking about this nanosensor, everywhere you see we are totally, we can say, surrounded by the nano barcodes. These barcodes, nano barcodes and nano sensor tag, we are surrounded. everywhere. Whether you go to, if in your college you have your RFID library, this radio frequency ID library, you have there, they are having nanoscale components. If you are going to your, for example, if you're going to this malls, etc., marketing complex, then they have, which is being put in the smart cell, will beep like anything. They will, these are having, and also the CD players which are pirated will not play or make any record. So what in fact, so when we are surrounded by all these nanosensor networks, which are very helpful to us, not only because of our daily life, in our daily life, we are very much concerned. We are living in that surrounding where everywhere nanosensor network is playing an important role. Then this is also a heaven for the criminals. They will try to gather all the information from what these nanosensors are collecting. You see, in your mobiles or in the Androids, whatever information what you are gathering or sending it from one place to the another. I'm not speaking about the chat type of application software. I'm not speaking about many other, not specific to that, but Androids today are one of a great source of the criminals which are trying to trap you. They are in tracking you like anything. So you have to be very careful while doing this thing. What happens? Sometimes you have enough memory space with you, but when sometimes what happens when you are moving from one tower to the another, where the signal transformation is there, where signal change is there, then what you observe that where you try to make your on button there, but it is not open. So what simple you do, you open your set, remove your battery, again insert the battery and make it open. So the recent study made by two German scientists, they in fact tried to understand these type of attacks by the change of tower, change of signal, or the frequency of the signal. As I told you earlier, these are the heavens of the criminal in which they are trying to, the information what you are sending is being tracked or trapped by them. So when they're tracking or trapping you, so after this particular incident which happens, the mobile set, they try to completely make it still by sending this Mabir worm or Kabir worm into your set. And they make the system so inactive that you cannot, all the buttons, all the sensor nodes, the touch sensor node will not be working. And finally, you have to remove the battery and switch it on. And you say that it is a normal process, but certain crime might have happened. I'm not saying that it is always like that. The percentage is very low, but this type of crimes is happening. In 2019, the recent study has come into that picture. So what is happening? The attackers are moving more faster and defense is not. That is the big question, because we are putting a lot of latest antivirus software is coming, the patches are there, but they are moving more faster. The criminals are moving more faster than what they are, the defense what they are not. And this happens why? I will be discussing very two important criminal, the critical entire cyber world. And this was the crime which happened in 2014. In 2014, it was a zero-day vulnerability. When I speak about vulnerability, I try to, you have to understand that what is vulnerable. You have to understand that what we mean by vulnerability. So vulnerability is defined as a flaw or weakness. Flaw and weakness in what? Flaw or weakness in the design, maybe in the implementation part, maybe in the operational part, maybe in the management part of the system. That could be exploited. these flaws or weakness in the management part, maybe in the design, maybe in the implementation part, they could be exploited to violate the system security policy. And this, in fact, is termed as vulnerability. And vulnerability is in the form of bugs that may be present in the operating system. These bugs may be present in your device drivers. They may be present in your shared libraries, or maybe in the application program or any other system components. So these bugs are present everywhere, and they are so vulnerable, so they can make your system completely die full by these bugs. And patches are developed based on the characteristic behavior, the transmitting behavior of these type of bugs. So these zero-day vulnerability, that means the new vulnerables, that means what is the meaning of the new vulnerables? The new vulnerables are those that are appearing for the first time. And first time appearance of anything is very destructive. You see COVID-19, how much destructive it is. We don't know about the attacking behavior. We didn't know about the transmitting behavior. We didn't know that how it is communicating the disease from one person to a group of persons. So it is so new that there is no medical facility available, no vaccination available, no medicines available, and that is creating a great distraction in the population. And similar is the these type of attacks. These vulnerables, they are zero-day vulnerable. In no time, it is going to create a chaos in the environment. So it is the first time appearance, you are not knowing the characteristic behavior at all, and a great destruction is in there. So what happens in the zero-day, when we speak about some of the top 5 topmost exploited zero-day vulnerables, for the year 2013, then the vulnerable and the required patch they were made available was in 19 days. And the meantime, the average time was only 4 days. So you can see that in the first we have to understand the behavior of the attack. And once we have understood the behavior, till time, the destruction in fact happened like anything. So it is so fast in nature, before developing the patch, everything is gone. So these bugs, in fact, are so destructive that you cannot understand. So once again, I will disturb Professor Sonak to help me out.
Yes, sir, I'm there.
By just moving to slide number 45. 45 number slide. Slide number 45.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, thank you so much. In this particular slide, you have 2 things. One is, you see red color, another is blue. So red and blue color, one is, this is what I'm showing you, 2 popular zero-day vulnerable. That means the beginning, the presence of that particular virus or the vulnerable, what it had done in the very first day. The first happened in the month of April 7, 2014. That is said to be heartbleed. This vulnerable heartbleed, it was reported on April 7, 2014. And if you see the graph, you see that the very first appearance, it had damaged around 32,000 computers in no time. 32,000 computers in the very first appearance on 7th of April. To see the damage what it had created. So this, as we didn't know the behavior, so this had happened, and 7th on the April 2014, this type of huge destruction was there. So, and suddenly, what when the criminals or the people who are making these type of, am I audible, please? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, perfectly.
So 7th of April 2014, only you see 32,000 computers was damaged. And this created a chaos in the cyber world. So you can imagine the type of destruction. And this happened in country like US and Europe. You see the domain changed. It was not in the same geographical domain. US was suffering, Europe was suffering. People didn't understand that what happened. And the very first day, 32,000 computers, suddenly you see the graph is reduced like anything. Before people understand, it did the damage and went off the scene. People started, developing patches for this type of vulnerability. Antivirus software was very targeted. They did business like anything. They just put a remark on that particular software that this software is totally protected from heartbleed. And people purchased like anything. So one day damage that made a boom in the antivirus software, but that must not link to each other that the criminals are having linked with antivirus software. No, not at all. This was an incident, a criminal, cyber criminal did a crime. They made the vulnerable available, and this type of damages was there. Antivirus software developed it, patches was there. But see the attacking behavior. That is very interesting. The first day, 34,000, and then suddenly it decreased. And after few months, it was almost a zero. So they didn't damage. People also they were careful for 1 month, 2 months. But when they knew that nothing is going to happen, then they were quite restless. But suddenly in the month of September 24, 2014, after almost 5 months, there was another vulnerable, and that was shell shock. Shell shock, on the very first day, it damaged around 30,000 computers across the globe. And then it suddenly reduced for a few days. The damage was not too much, but again suddenly increased, and it reached around 35,000 computers across the globe. So if you just have a comparison between heartbleed and shell shock, what had happened? Happening was there that heartbleed one-time damage, and then it disappeared from the market. So that people didn't understand. Secondly, shell shock, it damaged 31,000. People thought that it will be like heartbleed. They were restless. It was also for a few days, the damage was not more, but it has reduced up to 10,000 computers. And then suddenly it increased. And 35,000 computers. And then it was there destroying system for certain 3 more months. Till November it existed. So 3 months the attack was there. For 3 months it was there, and it had created a lot of chaos. Patches was developed, but only after few months when the damages was there. So heartbleed and shell shock, the attacking behavior was different, and this is where the mathematicians are playing a role. They try to understand the attacking behavior, the transmission behavior of the attack, that what type of attacking nature. Both were vulnerable. Both on 0 day had made damage, but their behavior was different. One destroyed for a single day, and then it was out of the scene. Second, it had destroyed on a continuous manner. Suddenly it increased and then decreased for a certain period of time. So the attacking behavior was different. And this is what I say, that the criminals are very much clever with respect to the defense mechanism. So the next slide, please come to the next slide. Yeah, if you see the trend, the monthly emergence of the vulnerables from January 97 to, I have marked to 2014 because from after 2014, there was not, because this is the year which is said to be the year of mega threat in the cyber world. So 2014 is a landmark as far as cyber crime is concerned. They had made a lot of damages and new type of vulnerables appeared. If you see the behavior there's a definite trend right from 97. You see the damages from 97, it was 0. It had increased around 2005. The peak is very high. And in 2014, you see again the peak is very high. So you see there's a definite trend. The damages are there. It is exponentially. It is not exponentially, but it is an increasing trend. And month-wise also it is showing that month-wise there is an increase in that particular crime which is happening as far as vulnerable is concerned. But vulnerables where, what operating system is going to, what operating systems are affected, what type of browsers are affected, we'll see in the next slide. Next slide, please. So vulnerables, if you see from 2011 to 2014, if you see is the year 2012. In the year 2012, in the orange portion, you will see that Apple Safari around 200, there were around 200 vulnerables which was in Apple. If you see the green shade was having more than Safari. So if you see the difference, and the red portion is your Microsoft Internet Explorer, and the blue one is Mozilla Firefox. So these are vulnerables appeared there. So in 2012, we are having almost, around 200 and around 300 vulnerables in your Apple, and the same Google Chrome is there, slightly more than the Apple, and the Explorer in fact was not having so much of vulnerables, and Mozilla was having some fun. But there was a sudden change in the trend because criminals are pretty clever. So in 2014, you see, where in 2012 there were large number of vulnerables available in Apple. In 2014, if you see the orange one, that is the Safari Apple one, the vulnerables are lesser. And the Google Chrome is also lesser. But the Explorer, which was the least one in 2012 number of vulnerable, was maximum vulnerable appeared in Explorer. So every year what they used to do, and Mozilla remain, we can say, at the same mark, some more or some less. But there was a trend is changing. So 2012 where Apple saw maximum number of vulnerable, in 2014 Explorer saw the maximum number of vulnerable. So the criminals do not try to attack a specific browser continuously. They're changing the browsers so that the organization also they are competing with each other for making different patches, the security of the defense mechanism. So these criminals are playing cleverly. So what I try to do when we are having these type of vulnerables available, so I just request again to move 2-3 more slides. Please, next slide, skip. Kindly skip the next slide. The next slide again. Please skip it, skip it, skip it. Yeah. So we try to see the mobile devices and Internet of Things. I'm marking 2014 always. So this is a very dangerous figure, alarming figure. Alarming as far as cyber security is concerned. Out of the total applications, 6.3 million applications were analyzed in 2014. If you see the blue line, the first one, the total application which was analyzed in 2014 is 6.3 million. And you'll be highly surprised to know that out of these 6.3 million applications available worldwide, 1 million application was classified as malware. 1 million application out of 6 million applications, they were classified as malware. That is malicious in nature. And not only did it stop here, out of the total application classified, out of 6.3, 2.3 million were grayware. And 1.3 million, they in fact was classified as malware. So I've used three terms: malware, greyware, and malware. So what you can observe here, that 6.3 million applications were analyzed, and out of these, what I find out, 4.6 million applications were having malicious objects inside it. So almost, 4.6 million of the application was having malicious code of 6.3 million applications which were being analyzed in the year 2014. How alarming the data is. I have used the word greyware, malware, and adware. So malware, I told you that they contain the malicious object, they contain the computer viruses, they may contain worms or the trojans. But when I speak about greyware, so greyware contain viruses that are not obviously malicious. They can be annoying you. They try to annoy you. That means if you try to open a particular link, some other link will open. So they are trying to annoy you, and they are even harmful for the user. They can hack your tools. They can access your software. They are spyware. They may be adware. Advertisement may appear continuously, dialers, and certain joke programs. So many of the people who are using the Androids, they obviously they will try to suddenly something will open when certain links are opening, certain advertisement by themselves are opening, certain spyware are there, certain joke programs are coming. So they are termed as greyware. And then maybe that something has happened in my mobile. And other term I used was malware. Malware is an aggressive technique. And they try to place photo albums may be created. Some calendar entries may be there. Some push messages will be there. So in mobile, always if you find that push messages are coming, or some albums are there, some photos are appearing suddenly, or some notification bar is appearing. So, or malware can even go to your ringtones, and ringtone will have certain advertisement, etc. So malwares are there. So there are three terminologies: malware, malware, greyware, and madware. So they are all 4.6 million of the software were classified as malicious in nature out of 6.3 million software. So this was pretty alarming, and therefore 2004 was said to be a great type of thing. And you will be very surprised also to know that in 2014 alone, 84% of the mobile vulnerabilities were from the Apple operating system. Apple now, after 2014, have made it very much secure. But in 2014, 84% of the mobile vulnerabilities were from the Apple operating system. And compared with 11% of the Android. Android had only 11% of the vulnerables, and BlackBerry had around 4%. Nokia had 1%. So Nokia was very much secure. It was not having so much of vulnerable. In 2014, 1% only. I'm taking 2014 always because it was the year of mega threat in the cyber world. And later on, several type of defense mechanism based on these vulnerable application was developed in the world of cyber world. So 84% mobile of Apple was having these vulnerables, 11% in Androids, 4% in BlackBerry, and 1% only in when I speak about this Nokia. So I had covered about the wired and wireless network, the nanosensor network, the attacking behavior. Why I'm doing so? Because when you are education, then you have to understand all the behavior. You have to try to understand that what is the characteristic feature of the real world parameter or the variable. Unless you understand, your equations will not make a very strong mathematical model. You have to be very, you have to understand the philosophy. You have to understand the real parameters, their behavior, their characteristics, characteristic features, everything, then only you can develop a mathematical model for the in-depth of hardware and software component of the cybercrime. So you have to make a solid. It's not only true in cyber world, it's true for everywhere. Whether it's biological model, whether it's ecological model, there is environmental model, you have first of all understand all the characteristic feature of the real world application. So we are living in the era of Internet of Things. And the first interconnected appliance was a Coke machine. That was the first internet connected appliance. And this Coke machine was in Carnegie Mellon University, world top university. So Carnegie Mellon in the year 1982, this Coke machine was having the first internet connected appliance. And it reported on stock levels and whether this newly loaded drink was chilled or not. So Carnegie Mellon played a very important role as far as the first interconnected appliance was there. And people say that from there onwards, Internet of Things started playing some role. So it is embedded in your computing devices with internet connectivity. Embraces a wide range of devices, which includes digital homes, thermostats, smart TVs, car system, such as navigation, entertainment, etc., and networking devices. Smart watches have come, activity trackers are there. So they are all, in fact, Internet of Things, which are embedded into the computing devices. And some attacks, in fact, are already capable of exploiting these vulnerabilities in Linux-based and Internet of Things system. But in fact, Linux is not, we cannot say that it's so harmful. It, in fact, is somewhere safer with respect to the other operating system. So some attacks are already capable of exploiting these vulnerabilities in Linux-based IoT systems and routers. But however, as far as the market leaders emerge and the ecosystem grows, attack against some devices will be undoubtedly, they will escalate. So we have to be, you see that in fact, creepware is there. Creepware means using internet connected webcam to spy on people. They are said to be creepware. The creepware started, playing an important role right from the first decade of the 21st century. So creepware was also a very threat to the people. In fact, were cyber criminals, in fact, were using this part. So what I try to do is that I hope that I will be speaking more 30 minutes. And then if Professor Sonak is 30 minutes more I can do, or should I try to minimize it?
Yes, sir. We have till 6. We can continue our discussion.
Yeah. So not only about the internet, whenever researchers also found that many of the cars are vulnerable to cyber attackers. Having latest cars, and these cars are having nanosensors, where internet of, because everything is not having navigation, etc., is available. So cyber attacks are also tracking your cars. In fact, they have come into your household articles, and they are trying to gather all the informations. And they are also able to use laptop to control a standard car. So criminals can do anything, and these are the latest research what they in fact can do. So what in fact we try to do is to, these days, what are happening? These days, targeted attacks are launched with an economic benefit. And that is, in fact, ransomware are used. Because for even if they don't have any economical benefit, they, in fact, the attackers do not try to put their fingers there. So such attacks are often based on long-term collection of data or information. They try to analyze those specific data, and they try to understand the user behavior. So some ways in which this can be performed, how they are able to, they try to attack all these for the ransomware. So by tracking, how do they do it? They track people through their products. They can launch certain product and then they try to track those people. Unauthorized person belonging. They try to access all the information. Now, see, artificial intelligence play an important role for these cyber criminals. They use this as a very sophisticated tool because without this artificial intelligence technique, they cannot try to get the entire analysis of the data or the information what they try to collect from these people. So first of all, they launch a product, and when the product is launched, then they track people through these products. And unauthorized assessment of the economic worth of the personal belongings are also being tracked. And also they try to retrieve your social information based on your movement, based on your travel, based on your meeting with peoples and social gatherings or social visits. So see how the criminals are doing. See, is the traditional crime, if you see the traditional crime, if some crime is going to happen, if they're performing certain crime has to be done, then the criminals in fact try to make a track of you, where you are going. But they do everything through your personal belongings, maybe through your Androids, maybe through your laptop, maybe through your business, what you do, maybe through your visit, because when you are moving from one place to the another, then when you are buying tickets, etc., e-tickets are there, then since you are being tracked by those criminals, every information is being gathered by them. And artificial intelligence, the search engine, play an important role for these type of cyber criminals. So where mathematical analysis goes, what in fact, how mathematics comes into picture. So what I try to do, these days, everybody, when they are observing this pandemic situation, the COVID-19 situation, then they might have gone through one particular word, that is the reproduction number. Every time you see on the news channel, people describe reproduction number. So before I say reproduction number, there are two terms. One is epidemic, another is pandemic. So epidemic is a disease which is being infected in a large population in a very short span of time. A huge population is being infected by specific disease and in a very small interval of a time where the death rate is very high. And if it is in a specific geographic domain, it is epidemic in nature. But when it crosses the geographical domain, for example, pandemic, straight from China to Iran, goes to Europe, goes to America, come to the Asia part, then to Africa part. What do you see? There is a transformation. There is the disease is transmitting, it is crossing all boundaries, and the devastation or the destruction or the deaths are so high, and the people which are being affected by this particular type of pandemic, a particular type of disease is in fact turned to be pandemic. In very short interval of a time, when a large population is being affected by the disease, where the death rate is also very high, and it crosses the geographical boundary in the domain, when we're in the maximum domain of the geographical boundary, it is pandemic in nature. So when I speak about, for example, COVID-19 is now pandemic, and many of the other diseases like HIV, AIDS, bird flu, tuberculosis, malaria, these were all epidemic in nature, where they were, in fact, the transmission to the entire population across the globe was not there, but certain geographical domain was being affected by that specific disease. So that was epidemic in nature. So when epidemic and pandemic is there, the same concept comes into picture for modeling the cyber crime or cyber attack. So the cyber attack, when computer viruses, when the viruses, worms or trojans attack computer network, then what is the attacking behavior? What is the transmitting behavior? What is the death rate? How much of the computers recover from the disease when a particular virus or worms enter it, when an antivirus software is being done, what is the recovery rate, everything in fact takes into account epidemiology. The study of this particular epidemics is epidemiology, and we try to understand it, how we are concerned about it. So reproduction number, I was saying, reproduction number or threshold. So a reproduction number is that if a person is infected by a particular disease, how many days, at what interval of time, or at what interval of time it can infect other person or a group of person in that population. So that in fact is your reproduction number. So suppose that in India, right now, when I speak about this pandemic, in the beginning, in fact, it was 1.78. Right now, it is 1.43. But in country like US, the reproduction number is 2.9. Sometime it had crossed 3 also. In country like Italy, it is 3.1. Iran also had around 2.4. So what does it mean? That means that in the normal situation, one person can infect 3.6%. One person can infect 2.4%. And if preventive treatment is not being given, then it can affect a large reproduction number, plays an important role in epidemiology. And it defines whether the population is suffering from this particular disease or not, whether the particular population is epidemic or not. I request again Dr. Sonak to come to please slide number 65. Please come to slide number 65. Yeah. So this picture, if you see, the middle is in fact, it is showing basic reproduction number R0. And in the left portion, if you see, which is divided in two parts, left and right part. In the left part, left bottom, if you see, it is written as R0 is less than tau naught. Tau naught is a specific number, and we take it as 1. So if R0 is less than 1, if reproduction number is less than 1, then there is no epidemic. How it counts? You see the first left portion, the top upper part, in the top portion of the left graph. You see that there are red portion as I, some are written as S, some as R. S, I, R. S means susceptible. So in a population, the disease may spread in which you can see the red one, people are infected, and S is susceptible, in which they may get infected by this infected person. Or if I can say this is a computer network, if I number of computers are infected by the malicious codes or by the viruses or by the worms or trojans, then it may infect those prone towards that attack. Now, after what happens certain duration of a time, the left portion of the graph, if you see the left bottom part, then you see there is no I. There is no I. That means after running the antivirus software, all the infected computer becomes recovered. And some of them are susceptible in nature. So there is no infection part on the left part. That is R0 is less than 1. The disease is under control. It is not epidemic in nature. And when it is not epidemic in nature, then proper treatment in the population will always try to get that population recovered from the disease. That means the bugs which are entering into our computer network, they in fact, the antivirus software is capable to remove those bugs, or the firewall which is being there in our network, they're able to detect it and do not permit those type of malicious codes in the network. That means we are defended. But if you see the right portion of the curve, right portion of the graph, then in this you see right upper part, you see there again large number of eyes with some S and R. And after certain interval of a time, after giving antivirus treatment, after giving antivirus treatments, what is happening? You see still I are there. That means our antivirus software is not updated. It is not up to the mark, or there is some sneak in the computer network security. The firewall is not capable enough to detect those malicious codes which enters into the computer network. Or if you speak as biological disease, then that particular, if you see the right bottom R naught is greater than tau naught is 1. If reproduction number is more than 1, then epidemic persists. That means it exists in the particular population. That means even after the treatment, the infectious population are there, and the susceptible population get infected by these red infectious people, making the population more infected by the disease. So that means if I speak in the term of computer network, then what is happening that after when antivirus software is run, then the latest antivirus software patch is not available. It is not able to detect the viruses, and in fact, the infection persists in that particular network, and it may infect other type of computer network computers also. So this is what is the difference between the epidemic part are not less than 1 or greater than 1. So I will try to make you more clear. I will just request again Dr. Sonak to please come down to slide number 75. Slide number 75. Yeah. So we have different type of epidemic models. And these epidemic models, and if the students are there, it will be very helpful for them, because they study mathematics. But why they are studying mathematics? Why they are studying differential equations is always a big question. They always study mathematics part, mathematics play. Every computer, every engineer has to understand this mathematics. So differential equation, what is the use or application of differential equation in the real world? So this particular topic gives you a very wide perspective to understand this real physical scenario. I try to give you 3 examples here: SIR, SIS, SCIR. SIR is S is susceptible, I is infectious, R is recovered. Susceptible, infectious, and recovered computers. SIS is susceptible, infectious, and again it becomes susceptible in nature. And third one is susceptible, E is exposed, I infectious, R recovered. So these models, 2 models I will try to explain and make a mathematics of this particular thing. I just come to the next slide. Next slide, please. Click it, please. Click it again. Susceptible. No, yeah. Let's stop it. Susceptible. What I do, a computer network, suppose that I'm taking an example of a computer lab. And a computer lab, in fact, is having a main server where there are 50 number of computers or 100 number of computers attached to that particular computer network. And these are all attached to the main server. All the security measures are taken, defense mechanism is there, each and every computer's antivirus software is installed. Now, these all computers are susceptible in nature. That means wherever there is a secondary device which is being used, or wherever there is a net surfing which is being used, they are all prone towards the attack, and they're all susceptible in nature. And then suppose that any malicious code, maybe any virus or worms, enter in the network, is sneaking the defense mechanism, entering into a specific computer where there's a communication going on between one computer and the another, between one system to the main server, the communication is going on. So this infected computer can make the susceptible computer infectious in nature. So what in fact is there? Infected computer, one infected computer, it will, since it is transmitting the information, since it is communicating with each other, it can make the other computers infected in nature. Not all of them. Suppose 100 computers are there, then a proportion of the susceptible computer, maybe out of 100, 10 of them get infected. Maybe 20 get infected by the attack of those viruses. At some rate, that rate is beta. Beta is said to be the infectivity contact rate. Suppose that a person is suffering from COVID-19, and then if he touches somebody, or if there is a communication, if there is some communication between the group, or there is a very close relation between that particular individual which is suffering from the disease to the group of the people. This is a group of the people susceptible, and this is the infected. Then to make the susceptible infectious in nature, not the entire population, but a portion of the infectious population which are continuously communicating with them, infectious in nature. Then please click it. Then after it has become infectious, please click it. Please, yeah, after it is infectious, it becomes recovered. Suppose that out of 100 computer, 20 get infectious. Then we run antivirus software. After running antivirus software, maybe that all 20 get recovered, or maybe that out of 20, only 10 get recovered, maybe 5 get recovered, or maybe none of them get recovered. So infectious computer, after running the antivirus software, it becomes recovered in nature. But do remember, in cyber world, it is nothing permanent immune. Immunity is not permanent in cyber world. It may be in some diseases. In biological thing, it may be human. It may be permanently immune to a specific disease. But in cyber world, it cannot be permanently immune. You cannot say that my computer has an antivirus software, I'm using this type of firewall, no viruses can enter into our system. It is not true. Because once antivirus software is run, it is a temporary immune. But as soon as we start running the antivirus software, as soon as we start surfing, as soon as we use secondary devices, we are prone towards again attack, and these recovered computer again become susceptible in nature. Please click it. So recovered computer again becomes susceptible because permanent immunity is not there. It is a temporary immunity. Please click it. Sonak ji, please click it. Please click it again. Yeah, recovered again becomes, again, click all. Please click it. Yeah, click it. Yeah. So what do you see? No, back. Yeah. So what do you see? Only humans do not die. Computers also die. There are two types of death. One is natural death, another is death due to disease. So computers also die naturally. They may die due to the attack of the viruses. They may die due to the malicious code attack. And they naturally die also. Maybe due to hardware failure, maybe due to software failure, maybe due to power supply failure, or maybe other. That means the crashing of the computer is possible, maybe not due to viruses, but due to some other physics. That death is there. So there all you see susceptible, infectious, and recover all die at a rate D. And if you see, there are two things there, from infectious to recovered. At what rate the infectious population get recovered? That is alpha. And at what rate the recovered population becomes susceptible? It is the rate gamma. Gamma is the rate through which the recovered population becomes susceptible, and the rate of recovery from infectious population is alpha. So at alpha rate, the infection, and these two are very, very important parameter, because even if you see COVID-19, if some vaccine is developed, then what in fact people see that if I've developed a vaccine if I develop, then what population of the infection get recovered, and what is the rate of recovery. And also, if people are dying due to disease, then what is the death rate? So these are very important parameters as far as epidemic is concerned. Same is with the antivirus company. Suppose that if you have Kaspersky with you, or not an antivirus with you, or any other antivirus software with you, then if you are having some virus attack, then there's a comparative analysis between these type of antivirus software. That I was having Norton, he was having the same, the Kaspersky. Now the entry didn't enter. That means our antivirus software is not having the latest update. Secondly, that if we run the antivirus software, updated version, then whether the virus is removed from that or not. So what if there are 20 number of computer infected and all of them we are running the not an antivirus, then how much a computer gets recovered while running by the antivirus not an antivirus with that. And similarly between these two, which one is more, the recovery rate also. So these parameters. Now very mathematics. What is that? So this is not a static system. This is a dynamic system. We try to find out what is the rate of infectivity, what is the rate of recovery, what is the rate of susceptibility on the first. So whatever population is entering, if you see the arrow from S to I, it is infectious. It is coming. If whatever is coming is taken as positive, what is going out is taken negative. Suppose death is going out from that compartment. Compartment here is susceptible, infectious, and recover. What is going out, we take it minus. What is coming in the compartment is taken as positive. So the next slide, please, you see the equation. And the students, if they are attending, they can see that where a differential equation is applicable. Please click it. Next slide. Yeah, please, next slide. So ds by dt, rate of susceptibility. The rate of susceptibility is minus beta I minus ds plus gamma I. So see, minus beta si, that means from susceptible population, this beta si population is going out from susceptible population to infectious population. That means this is the population through which the beta is the infectivity contact rate. Through this rate, the susceptible population was infected by the infected computer in the population. So this beta si is the total number of computer which got infected from the susceptible population, enters into the infectious population. Therefore, minus beta si. Minus ds, this is the total natural death, crashing of the computer, not due to disease, in the susceptible population. And gamma R is what? Gamma was the rate of recovery. As I told you that the computers are recovered, they are not permanently immune. They are not permanently recovered. They again become susceptible due to surfing, due to use of secondary device, again go back to susceptible. At what rate to go back to susceptible? The rate gamma. So gamma R is here. This population gamma R is the total population which enters into the susceptible population. So we have the equation rate of susceptibility. Here S is not constant, ds by dt. S is not constant. S is a function of time t. So rate of susceptible population at any time, at change in time t. So this is the rate minus ds plus gamma R. Please click. Then I will try to find what is the rate of infection in the population. Di by dt. Please click it. Di by dt. It is beta si minus alpha is by dt. It is minus beta is. That means from susceptible it goes to infection class. And then since it went to infection class, therefore di by dt in the infection class, it is beta si. That means this population has entered into the infectious population class. So therefore plus is there. Minus alpha I. That means alpha is the rate through which the infection population goes to recovered population. That means we have run the antivirus software, and through the rate alpha, the infectious population was recovered. How much population was recovered? Alpha I population was recovered. Therefore, this particular population alpha I is going out from the infection class and coming in the recovery class. And minus di is the total death, natural death in the infectious class. Therefore, minus going out plus coming in. So plus beta si, this is the population which was infected, which has come from the susceptible population. Alpha I, it is the population which is recovered, goes to the recovery class. If you see dr by dt, it will be plus alpha I. This has gone. And minus DI is the total natural death in the infectious class. That is the crashing of the computer not due to viruses. Then I come to rate of recovery. This is very important as far as any epidemic disease is concerned. At what rate the infection population increases at what rate the infectious or the infection increases in the population. Today, everybody is worried about COVID-19. At what rate the infection is increasing? If suppose that some vulnerable has come into picture, then at what rate that vulnerable population across the globe has infected computer. So this DI by DT is playing an important role. Now come to DR by DT. If they run the antivirus software, then at what rate the recovery is there. Here again, I is a function of time t. So please click DR by DT. So rate of recovery, you see alpha I has gone to from infection class come to the recovery class, and gamma I if you see ds by dt, it is plus gamma R. From here, from the recovery, this gamma R population is going to the susceptible population, and therefore it is minus, and minus dr is the death rate. It is the total death in the recovered population. So you see, you are having a system of ordinary differential equation which is non-linear in nature, and this is the beauty of mathematics. So a complex situation, the attack was there, the vulnerable was there, the COVID-19 has appeared in the population, and then based on this system of very simple non-linear ordinary differential equation, all the students might have gone through these equations, all the engineers might have gone through this equation, are trying to explore or explain the physical scenario in such type of equations mathematically. This is what the beauty of mathematics is. The whole scenario only in 3 equations. We can put many more parameters. We can add here one more parameter, death due to disease. We can also add that if it is communicating to the main server, then there's a vertical transmission. There are certain, recently there was a case in COVID-19, put a question mark in the world. The medical practitioners was there, whether they say that if a woman who's pregnant and suffering from COVID-19, will the newborn baby will be also suffering from COVID-19? There is no scientific evidence of the transmission from the pregnant lady to the newborn baby. But there are certain diseases like HIV in which it is possible. If the computer, if the end user is using transmitting the information to the main server, then the vertical transmission is possible, and there we can use another parameter. So lot parameter can exist here. I had given you a simple example where you can mathematically explain this situation. So I find that I have given you however, I have come only to 50% of the slides and given you a brief idea about the cyber crime, about the cyber security, about the cyber criminals, about forensics, about wireless nanosensor network, about the Internet of Things, and also the mathematical aspect where we can develop large number of equations based on this realistic situation. So I should now stop, and thanks to each and every participant for listening me very patiently. And if you have any question, you are most welcome on that. Over to Dr. Sonak, please.
So thank you, sir. Thanks for your, a nice and motivational things and new things, obviously, we need to know. So if the participants are having any questions, then they may ask by raising their hands. I'll unmute them and they can go ahead for their questions. Participants, you can go ahead with your question by raising your hand if you're having any questions. Sir, I think no one is having any question. So uh, just now I am transferring this session to Ms. Chaya Madam. Chaya Madam, you can go ahead with your.
Okay, thank you, Sonak sir. And I would like to say very much thank you to Professor Dr. Bimal Kumar Mishra sir. And it's what I should say, it's our very privilege to host this webinar on market state of affairs during COVID and cyber security and defense by Chaibasa Engineering College under Take It 3. And so your words are really very valuable about this computer forensic, that biomedical application, about the vulnerable reproduction number and the various epidemic models. And I am very thankful to all the participants for joining this webinar. We have been fortunate to have you, sir. My sincere thanks to you for giving your valuable time and sharing your valuable thoughts with us. I will take this opportunity to thank all the reviewers and technical committee members. I acknowledge my special thanks to Mr. Sonak Bhattacharya sir, coordinator of Take It 3, and for managing today's technical sessions. My sincere thanks goes to Dr. Ranjit Roy sir, Honorable Principal of Chaibasa Engineering College, for organizing today's webinar. I am also very thankful to all the faculty members who attended this webinar and the students also. I once again thank everyone whose contribution has made this webinar a successful webinar. And once again, thank you, sir, for giving you so valuable time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
So Aditya sir, do you want to say something?
Sir, respected sir, I am really grateful you have given the time to the Chaibasa Engineering, our college. We are fortunate. We have listened your many times session, and never I feel that it should be in. It should be continue whenever you continue it. Thank you, sir. I am really grateful to you, sir.
Yes, I completely agree with Dr. Aditya sir that we never felt that we are in a session kind of thing, except those mathematical equations. I must say that this was a story. This was a story, and I mean kind of thing. So a very warm thanks from our side, from Chaibasa Engineering College, on behalf of Chaibasa Engineering College. I mean, thank you to for being this session speaker. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we are concluding our today's session. So I'd again thank to Dr. Mishra sir and Ms. Jaya Mukherjee madam. So we are concluding our session for today. Thank you.